Hello, everyone. That was a mess up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Simply Cyber Live. You know it's live because if it was produced, I would have cut that out. I'm your host, Dr. Gerald Auger, here to help you make cybersecurity accessible to everyone with industry practitioners every week, and we have a thrilling episode for you today, I promise you. We're going to be diving into the world of cyber competitions and talent development with some exceptional guests. Joining us, we have the distinguished Dr. Brunty, Dr. Josh Brunty. That's kind of a mouthful, even though it's like just a few syllables. Coming out of Marshall, a coach who has been pivotal in preparing athletes for international cyber competition. And speaking of athletes, we're not just talking about any competitors today. We actually have two shining stars from the US cyber team, Shiloh and Josiah, or as you may know them by their online handles, their 1995 hacker titles, Arctic Cow and Boot Kid, although the I in kid is a one, kind of leet speak style, but I'm going to go ahead and pronounce it Boot Kid. We'll get confirmation in a hot minute from him on that. They've been making waves in the cybersecurity scene, and today they're here to share their journey and insights. We're going to be talking all about the US cyber team and their upcoming international competitions. We're going to talk about how they got onto the team. What kind of training do they do? Does their coach beat them with a keyboard about not Nmap scanning fast enough? I don't know. We're going to find out, right? As always, you are more than encouraged to ask questions, engage, make the show as epic as it can be. Squad members, Team SC, you guys always bring the heat, so I have no doubt. But for the newcomers, I wanted to set expectations. So with that, please put together your Oprah emotes, squad members, and help me welcome the distinguished members of the US cyber team. There's like so many buttons I got to click here to bring on all you guys. It's all manual back here. When you're producing and the on-air talent, it's a hot mess express. Welcome, Dr. Josh Brunty right here, Shiloh in the top right, and Josiah at the bottom. It's good to have you guys here. Appreciate it. You all doing well?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Josh Brunty, let's start with you since you're the coach, kind of the top of the pyramid here. Can you just kind of give us a little brief overview, kind of like wet the palate, if you will, of what it means to coach a U.S. international, competing cyber team and really in this fast-paced world of cyber competitions?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is my first season of coaching the U.S. cyber team. We're honestly in our third season of competition. So we have 2 seasons of international competition under our belt. But the most fun about it is you get to spend time, mentor, get to know the 30 best athletes and competitors age 18 to 25 that our country has to offer. And that is really the most fun of it. You get to see behind the scenes strategy, but most importantly, you get to do something that I haven't been able to do ever, which is coach a team that is representing the USA in international competition. I can't think of anything like more important than representing our country on an international stage and preparing to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a distinguished opportunity. Shiloh, just to throw it to you, like what is it like, has it sunk in that like you're representing the United States in international competition? And what is that like as an experience?
Yeah, so it's my first year on the team. So it's pretty cool. I haven't really gotten the chance to, actually compete internationally yet. But no, it's definitely something that, it really hits you when you're explaining it to somebody else. Like you tell somebody I'm on the US cyber team and they want to know what that is. To explain, it's, I'm competing internationally against other countries. And, it never really, I guess it hasn't quite sank in yet or whatever. I'm sure it will when we get to the real competitive season, but it is really cool to be able to say, it definitely makes me, proud to represent my country. And I really hope to do so well.
Yeah, no, I love it. And Josiah, I know you said that you're in the service. So you're already kind of like representing the country, but how does US Cyber Team compare to, service, or are there parallels that you can draw from?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm in the Air Force, and I think the one parallel that I kind of draw there is just a lot of the camaraderie. It's been really cool on the U.S. team being able to come together as a team just of really specialized experts in our field, and all people that are motivated to perform and to compete. And that's, I think, a similar sort of team dynamic that I've had in a lot of my military training and stuff. So it's cool.
Oh, that's actually an interesting question. So as far as competition goes, is it individual or is it team based? Like, how like tennis, it's like individual, but you rack it as a team. Like what is it? What does the kind of format look like?
Yeah, so it's all team based. All the competitions that we do are all team based. So obviously we'll break up into have individual specialties and things. So it's not necessarily all doing the exact same thing the whole time. Similar to a lot of other team sports that way, that you have positions.
I love it. Now I'm trying to find this question. Maud's dropped it in chat, but Dr. Brunty, as far as like picking people to be on the team, Haircut Fish, again, I can't find a Haircut Fish, so drop it in chat again so I could throw it on stage. Haircut Fish wanted to know, are you taking on new athletes that are older? Like what are the constraints for competitors in this event?
So we base our competitive team off of the international rules, specifically the European rules and then international competition rules. So our competitors are aged 18 to 25 years old, and we pick those out of what we call the US Cyber Open. So if you go to uscybergames.com, if you're really looking to like dig into this and find like in detail, you go out to uscybergames.com. It'll have a breakdown of what we're looking for within our competitors when we start a season. So anyone can sign up for the US Cyber Open. From there, we will make invites back to our US Cyber Combine, which is a little bit later this summer. We do some further evaluation, put you through some little bit deeper CTFs, personal interviews, look at your CTF and attack and defense experience, what you've competed in. And we really try to break that down to two distinct categories, our team of 30. And we're looking at, as Josiah said, we're looking specifically at certain skill sets to balance out our team, but also we're looking to pick people into our pipeline that might not be at the team level yet, but are just at that cusp that are ready to kind of move up to 30. And we'll do a lot of stuff like additional training. We'll bring in guest speakers within that pipeline. So that's our program kind of in a nutshell of how we identify and bring in these new athletes per se into the program.
Yeah, that's really cool. Because I feel like that's really interesting simply because the age bracket is one thing, right? So Haircut Fish, not 18 to 25. So unfortunately, Dan, I don't think that's going to work for you. But for aspiring people, are you guys looking into higher ed and looking into, I guess even high schools to identify that talent and to reach out to them? Or what is that? I guess let me pose it this way. Josiah, how did you find out about this opportunity and this experience? How did you get engaged with it?
Yeah, so I found out about it from a friend. He had been on the team the first and second season. I came on the second season, so that's the year that I graduated college. It worked out for me to then join the team from him. In terms of ages, I know I've heard some talk of trying to put together something internationally to be sort of like a pro league or something like that. I don't know. That hasn't happened yet, but I know there's been some talk of that, and I'm sure Coach Brunty could talk to that more. But we have some players on the team right now that are in high school, so it's not all in college or older. And then there's also positions on the team for like mentors. So if you have a lot of skill and you're not in that age bracket, you can still participate on the team, even playing some of the scrimmages and things like that, and help us build out tools and training, just not compete.
Oh yeah, that's very, very cool, very interesting. So Shiloh, I wanted to throw it over here really quickly to you. Well, first of all, one of the questions that came out again, I can't find it for some reason. Like, I literally never have problems on stream, and then I flub my intro, and now I'm throwing these out. So, Shiloh, are you running like any custom like rigs, or like one of the questions was like, what kind of rigs do these people have? Like, are you guys running like Cray supercomputers over there?
I am the wrong person to ask. I move a lot, so and then we couldn't really have that crazy of computers in my college. So I have not invested in crazy hardware yet. I just run out of my laptop. So but I definitely know there are a lot of people on the team who do have some crazy awesome setups. But if maybe this is what the question was pointed out, we don't have any like US cyber team server infrastructure. Like maybe one day, but not at this moment.
Oh, well, that would be fine. Well, speaking of where you went to school, where exactly did you go to school?
I went to this crazy school called the Citadel in South Carolina, which I think you might have heard of.
Absolutely. So you see, chat, the Citadel's cranking out top talent in the cyberspace. Just saying, I never actually had a chance to teach Shiloh or engage with her prior to that, but I'm just saying there's something in the water running around there at the Citadel. So Shiloh, were there any kind of like challenges or hurdles that you encountered while you were trying to get onto the team?
Oh, geez. I mean, absolutely. I mean, the entire process is meant to be a huge challenge. So I'd say the biggest challenge for me. So, for those of you that have been an undergraduate recently and are involved in like the cyber gaming world, a huge amount of the like competitions that are very big in colleges are things like CCDC, which is like collegiate cyber defense competition. And then being at a military college, I would do NCX, NSA cyber exercise. I did Red Zone CTF, PCDC, the Palmetto Cyber Defense Competition, which is huge in South Carolina.
Yes, it is.
I did a lot of those kind of attack defense competitions where we were securing systems or we were, even red teaming. I didn't do as much as what's called Jeopardy style CTFs. So stuff like where you have a specific problem and you're given some files and you need to do something with the files. Then they have traditional categories like cryptography, binary exploitation, reverse engineering. So I didn't actually have a huge background in that. And that was basically the entire open combine experience for the US cyber team. So I was having to very, very quickly, learn some of these skills and being able to apply them really quickly. So that was a huge thing for me because my profession is pen testing and red teaming, which doesn't have a direct section in Jeopardy CTFs. So I was having to take a lot of my skills and very quickly pivot into a brand new skill. So that was a huge challenge for me. It was something very new to me.
That is interesting. So speaking to that, Dr. Brunty, like as far as like, I guess to Shiloh's point about how you guys screen and how you challenge, and you had mentioned evaluating, your portfolio of work and stuff, but what goes into kind of the assessment or like how you guys are selecting the team members, right? Because I'm sure it's highly competitive. I know, I went to Dakota, I have degrees from Dakota State University, and I know how good their program is. So I'm sure you've got a lot of DSU guys kids, that you're having to screen through. So what's that process look like?
Yeah. So honestly, we have a lot of metrics we can evaluate on, and one of them is the CTF scores from both our open and our combine. We can go back and look at those. Part of our portfolio as well is just looking at past performances in both team and individual events. So when the student submits their portfolio, they're essentially putting in their National Cyber League scouting reports. I mean, we have multiple first place national champions in National Cyber League. As a matter of fact, Shiloh says she's not a Jeopardy player, but I'm pretty sure you got number 2, right? In this past on the team game and the experience bracket?
Our team game.
The team game did. But we were 1-2. We had members of the 1-2 teams in NCL. And that's one of the metrics we look at because a lot of our coaches are past players. I played NCL, won NCL, played in past CCDCs and coach. So it's kind of like evaluating, athletes in football. If you look at a coach, a coach is going to know a player. And that's one of the things we look at. We have so many metrics, but it's not uncommon to see some of our competitors come in with a bare minimum of about 50, CTFs under their belt by the time they hit our combine. So, looking at that metric and just looking at the interview and seeing how they fit with the team and, making our picks from there. And our talent pool is getting better and better and better as our word goes out every year. And that's our goal, to get better and better and better every year to represent the country as best we possibly can.
So the team members, they're from anywhere in the United States, right? And I would assume like Puerto Rico and territories and stuff like that. So when does the combine, is that the kind of the kickoff of the new season? And is there any like grandfathered in, like Shiloh, it's her first season, so next year she's got an auto slot, or does she have to like go grind against like this next class of challenging competitors who want to take her slot?
Well, I mean, one of the things, one of the big metrics is, if you're on the team, you have, you kind of have you're in with the coaches and more. One of the things you can do is you can sort of bypass the open and make a request to be invited back to our combine. That is more for the experienced players. So for example, if you've played, if you have a good body of work that you think that you can get evaluated and want to skip the open and, try to get in line for combine, by all means, make a request in US Cyber Games to be invited to the combine. Our returning team members, they help with our open. So evaluating new athletes that might be coming in, to our pipe and our team. So there's a lot of involvement in the program, but right now, our team is fully focused, and we want our team to be fully focused on preparing for international and European competitions.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. It's totally epic. In a completely unrelated topic, how often do people at parties ask you to say, all right, all right, all right?
Well, if you've seen the movie Where I'm Marshall, Matthew McConaughey played the Marshall's coach. So yeah, I get that quite often, that West Virginia twang, right? I wish I could look like McConaughey.
Well, you just gotta like rub your fingers together and kind of have a little cadence there to it. Yeah. So one quick question. Casually Joseph wanted to know if this is in any way, if US Cyber Games is any way associated with US CyberQuest, and I'm going to bring it up here on stage. This is US CyberQuest. Do you know this is US Cyber Challenge, CyberQuest 2024? Josh, do you know, is this in any way related or coordinated with them?
I haven't heard of it. Have you guys? It's a new one for me. So
all right, I've heard of it. No, we're not officially affiliated with them in any capacity.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go, Casually Joseph. Thanks for the question. Question for Josiah. Josiah, Haircut Fish wanted to know, like, what's the level of like BYO tools versus, talk to us. I mean, I don't even have to read it. Like, talk to us about your tool set.
Yeah, I'm the right person to ask about that, actually. So I have headed up a lot of our tool development. We actually spend as a team a lot of time building custom tools for the competition. So we are allowed in all the competitions to use anything that's open source. So Nmap, Hashcat, all those tools that you mentioned, those are fine. But we can also use anything that we write ourselves. So we can't necessarily go use commercial tools that we paid for, but as long as we wrote the tool ourselves, it can be closed source and we can use it. So a lot of the things that we build, we kind of keep close as a team. But I can definitely say that we spend a lot of time building and a lot of really special capabilities and things that we're excited to use.
Oh, that is interesting. So is the team kind of split up where it's like, you said, I think there's 30 team members, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, is it like, okay, like 5 of you are developers and 5 of you are testers and 5 of you are Linux specialists, or like, is that like, what's the division look like for the team?
Yeah, so the team's primarily separated by CTF category specialization. So that's kind of the main way that we need to make sure that we're balanced across the CTF categories. So that would be web, reverse engineering, binary exploitation or PWN, cryptography, and forensics are the main categories there. And then you also add in some things like hardware or AI or cloud or other categories like that as kind of secondary specializations. So that's the main way we balance across the 30. And then on top of that, we have attack defense. So half of the international cyber competition is a CTF competition where you have your normal Jeopardy style. Here's a bunch of challenges and go in and solve them. The other half is attack defense, where each team is given a set of services or servers, and they have to go patch known vulnerabilities in those services while also attacking everyone else's services. And so we want to balance, and we kind of use all of those skill sets from the CTF side in the attack defense side. But then across all of that, then we also build tools. And so it's kind of this multi-layered approach where we build out our team composition, and then we all do all of the things as well.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like you're not just going to GitHub and downloading a tool. Like it's a bit more than that. What's your favorite scripting language?
Right now, I'm writing a lot of Golang. I'm a big fan of Go and its concurrency model.
Oh, just for speed?
Yeah. It's really, really fast. So it's a lot easier to write and a lot easier to work on a team of people who aren't familiar with it than say Rust. But it's really fast. And taking a lot of our tools last season were written in Python, and honestly, they were just not fast enough to keep up with the constant flow of traffic. So reporting a lot of
that's wild. That's wild. Like I'm always like, oh, Python. I mean, I guess I'm not competing. I'm just trying to protect a business. But like, yeah, I never thought about speed for speed purposes. That's really interesting. Shiloh, same question. I mean, where are you with? Are you like an old graybeard like me, and you're like Team Python, or are you in this like new Gen Z, Rust Golang thing?
So as a red teamer, I do a lot of like very specific things for my job. So as far as like, I use Bash a lot just because I'm working on Linux systems mostly. But I mean, I do use Rust at work. I use a lot of C, but Python is kind of my go-to. I have yet to, I mean, when I'm not doing like Linux command line bash stuff, but I have yet to encounter a problem in my personal life where speed was so important that Python was just too slow. Mm-hmm. So I'll die on the Python hill too, but
all right.
I am warning Rust in case I get in a Josiah situation.
No, that's so good. That's so good. So what area of competition do you like to focus on? Or are you like, we've got Shiloh, so we don't have to worry about that.
So I'm technically, like, if you look at what was drafted for, what I listed as, so when they drafted us, they drafted by category. So there's like a crypto mains or red versus blue mains. Technically mine is all around, but mine's listed as forensics. I'm kind of in a weird spot because what I do is that pen testing, and that isn't a straight up category. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of one of the weird miscellaneous ones, but yeah.
Can you tell us what happens when you make the US Cyber Team? Like, what's the process? What does it look like?
Yeah. So how it worked this year, it was kind of a dual part event. So there was an in-person draft essentially in Washington, D.C. And I'm from Southern Virginia. So I was actually I went in person to the draft. There was, there were 3 people at the draft that made the team, and there was probably between 30 and 50 people total there. And then everybody else was online. And there was definitely like hundreds, maybe even pushing I don't even know how many, couple hundreds online. And it was meant to kind of mimic like an NFL draft. So we had Dr. Brunty and the other coaches up the front, and they would, the category would come up. So I think the first one was crypto. And they would do some back and forth between Brad, who's the director of cyber sports at Cat's Eye. And he would do some back and forth with the coaches. They'd talk a little bit about, the category, maybe give some fun facts, and they'd draft people one by one by one. It was purposefully meant to mimic sports. I was personally the last pick, which was nerve-wracking, but had to be
That's
someone.
okay. Hey, Tom Brady was the last pick, and that worked out pretty well. So I think the U.S. Cyber team might have, scored an ace, even though it was the last pick. I love it. I think it's cool. So Josiah, what about you as far as your experience getting drafted? Were you did you go out that night and just get hammered? Did you call your parents? What was it? What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was super cool. It was actually funny. So at the time I was still in college at the Air Force Academy. And so there were a bunch of people in my squad there that were all watching it together, and we were excited. And then I was on the Air Force Academy cyber team at the time. So they were all super excited for me too. It was fun.
Oh, I love that. Hey, Josh Brunty, really quickly, there's some trolling going on. Someone in chat, QR5 Cyber, says, the U.S. Cyber Games are you going to be good enough, Josh, since you're the coach? Are you going to be good enough to take on Team Oceania? Apparently, Australia and New Zealand is chirping in the chat.
Oh, no. Yeah, we're coming. We're coming this year. They took us last year. But I will say we're prepping. We're getting ready. We're getting ready in the background, and we're coming out swinging in Chile. We're coming
That's
out
right.
swinging. We're ready. We're ready.
I love it. Just bring some Vegemite and throw it in the corner and just watch all the Aussies run over to the corner and grab it, right? QR5 Cyber, you know what I'm talking about with your Vegemite. So let's talk about the upcoming competition. What does the Season 4 schedule look like, Josh?
So right now we're taking applications for the Open. So the important thing is to spread the word to potential competitors about our Open so they can sign up. We'll do our Season 4 kickoff coming up here soon. So we'll have a live event with some speakers, our sponsors. We have sponsors from, Department of Homeland Security, NICE, some pretty big sponsors, MasterCard. I can go on and name for on and on and on. So we'll bring in some speakers from there. We'll do our kickoff, which the next day we'll spin up our competitive CTF. That'll go on for a month. So our schedule is posted online. From there, we'll close that down and have some other events in for the competitors as well, and wind that down, and then start up our combine. Hopefully, I'm wanting to say off the top of my head, maybe September we'll start that program up. But right now we're just preparing for Season 4. We're looking at bringing in new coaches, bringing in new mentors. If you're interested as a pro on here as a mentor, jump in and put in an application, for Season 4, Season 5. We're always looking at people to bring in. So if you have a specialty that you want to talk about, reach out to us, reach out to our program, and we'll try to bring you in as best we can.
I love it. And here are the dates right here. So Josh, just to understand, because now I'm a little confused. Shiloh, Josiah, they're on the team, right? But the Cyber Open's coming up, and then the Combine, and then the draft. So I'm confused. I'm sorry, Josiah and Shiloh, were they Season 3 team members, and they're having to compete for Season 4?
Yeah. So right now, Shiloh and Josiah are on our Season 3 team. Our Season 3 team will compete in October, so there is some overlap. We're already selecting our Season 4 team to compete in 2025.
I see.
So while our Season 3 is in the background prepping, we're already booting ahead for Season 4, just like an Olympic sport, honestly.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say, it sounds like it's that complicated and that involved organizing this type of event that it really does take, a full year to get everything up and running. I don't know if anyone else had that confusion. Again, I'm having a little bit of a slippery stream today with a couple snafus, but that I was just like, what? I was kind of confused. So I do love this. Now, Josh, as far as the Season 4 Open, where there's the beginner's game room, even if I don't want, like, I'm obviously older than 25. I know, like, really quick, if you just take a good look, you might think I'm just north of 25, like maybe 26, right? But as an older person, like, can I still compete even though I know I won't be able to get on the team just to have fun?
Yeah, any age can compete. So if you have a a middle schooler that just wants to dip their toes in and play, know kind of figure out what competitive CTFs are like, register them. If you're a professional that's saying, I don't know what this is all about, but I want to jump in and just see what CTF categories are like and support the program, sign up and play. So that's the whole goal. We want to bring in people of all ages. There's no age limit on our open, but because of the international rules of competition, we'll start to set the age limits. But for the program, there's a fit for everyone. That's the important thing. We want to bring in somehow, some way, all ages.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to go ahead and share this on stream. I'll drop a link in chat, or Kimberly can fix it. Just dropped a link. If you're interested in checking out these events, competing, having fun, maybe we even consider doing a Simply Cyber team. Is it individual, Josh, or can you register as a team and compete kind of like as a group?
No, right now it's just register as an individual because we're
Okay.
evaluating as individual. But there's other competitions that you can look at, or you guys
Yeah,
can make your own. Make your own.
Yeah, have a Simply Cyber CTF. I already got not duped, but we did a Simply Cyber con last year, and not to say I was kicking and screaming the whole way, but that's a ton of work, and now it's like an annual thing. So I should be measured if I say, oh, we'll do a CTF, because then I'll be signing up for that, and that would be something else. Shiloh, I have a question. As far as this comes from actually Haircut Fish again in chat. Thanks, Dan. Or I think it's Dan. Have you, like, in competition, whether US Cyber Games related or CCDC or any of the numerous events you've been part of, have you been part of a buzzer beater moment, some type of like high intensity dramatic finish?
Yeah, that's actually funny that he asked that. So last week, so I'm on a Department of Defense red team, and we had an internal CTF where all of the red teams are competing against each other. And it went from a Friday to a Tuesday. And I played all day Friday, I played like all day Saturday. And we had cleared everything by like Sunday night. So I stopped thinking about it. I was on op this week. I was on a secure site and on my phone and on the internet. I wasn't paying attention. The last thing on my mind was a CTF. And then come Tuesday afternoon, it's like 4 hours for the end of the CTF. And like my friend messages me, he's like, hey, like, are you going to check out the new problems? They had dropped a new pwn and a new rev problem. And I had no idea. They'd just been sitting there. And I was doing the pwn and the rev for them, and they didn't know how. So they messaged me, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I didn't know we had this. So I immediately hop on, and we needed to get both of them to get first place. And I think I got the last one with like 8 minutes left in the CTF. And then we ended up winning, which is pretty cool because we have never won that before. So
that is quite intense. Like,
and that was last week, so that was perfect timing, Ness.
Yeah, well, I promise you, I'm not tapped into your phone with like Pegasus, like listening. I'm like, oh, I've got a great question for Shiloh. Let's go ahead and fire that up. That is mad intense. What did you feel like when you, like, I'm sure at some point when they message you, you're like, huh? And then like you realized that there was new challenges and that you were probably, I'm sure when you shut it down, you thought you guys were in first place. So you're like, oh, I got this, no big deal, right?
Well, actually, we were solidly in second place once we finished all the challenges. So we'd given up hope. So it was like renewed hope. It's very exciting.
Oh, that is very cool. Also, like completely unreasonable, but just because I want to share this with everybody. Like Shiloh said, there were two challenges, a pwn and a reverse challenge, and like she had to do both of them. So like in my mind, I'm just picturing Shiloh with like two laptops, like you're like the keyboardist from Styx, like you're like reversing on this one, and exploiting this one or whatever, and you're just like, like not even looking at either screen, just raging on it?
I did have one on. They were on different laptops, so that's actually kind of close to true.
Yes, you see what's up. Now I feel even creepier that like I knew about this story that's just days old, and that was an actual accurate thing. So sorry to be weird, Shiloh. That was just happened to work out. What about you, Josiah? Any type of like in your international or your historics competition kind of buzzer beater, or you just like whipped up a script wicked quick and just dropped it on someone's head?
I'm trying to think. I know there have been times when I've had solves in the past 15, 20 minutes of a competition. I can't think of any good stories off the top of my head right now, though.
No, it's all right. It's tough when you get put on the spot like that.
Yeah.
Always. So what's your specialty though? I know you had mentioned different areas. Where do you like to focus?
Yeah. So in CTF categories, I'm primarily reverse engineering. I do a little bit of everything, but that's the area I'm strongest in. And then the area that I lead on the team is attack defense. So I'm the attack defense team captain. So handle all of our training and making sure that all our tools are set for that.
Well, so that actually brings up a good question. Let me start with Josh at the top, and then I'll work my way down. What does training look like? I joked earlier before we got on stream, and I joked kind of in the intro that like you're standing over Shiloh, just like whistling at her about not doing Nmap scans fast enough. Like Josiah's like, "Why are you using Python? Like Golang so much faster?" And she's like, "Get out of my face!" Like, what's the training look like?
Well, I mean, honestly, as a team, our formal events are very few. We had a get together in DC, so we had an in-person camp back in February, where we brought all of our team of 30 together, and we primarily focused on attack and defense, and that was a 2-day ordeal. We kind of set the tone of what we wanted to do for that season. We do compete a lot offline. We're going to do a run through Saturday for attack and defense, and we're Josiah's heading that up. We'll sit down all day Saturday and do a run through of our tooling and attack some boxes. But for the most part, I mean, we're dealing with professionals. I mean, we really are. So we just finished up a lot of our players are either on pro teams or school teams. So it was a pretty busy competition season. We just finished up CCDC, which we had members who were on the first place national champion team. We had top 2 finishers in NCL in the experience bracket. So it's a busy time of year just in the competition season. So we just like Olympics, with NBA players, they're playing their season. As soon as they finish their season, we'll get them together again, hopefully, and do some more practice runs and be ready to go for October, like a well-oiled machine.
I love that. So you said the major event happens in October. There's two events. Can you kind of share what those are? And then I'd love to know how people like who are not on the US Cyber team can be involved.
Yeah. So the first week of October, we will go to Turin, Italy, to compete in the European cybersecurity competition. That will be competing as a friendly team. In that one, will be sort of a non-scored, officially scored team, but that is our friendly match. So we'll be competing against other European teams there. That will be the first week. We will come back, have a couple of weeks in there with draft day and all of that. And then at the end of October, we will load up a team of 15, go down to Santiago, Chile, and compete in the international cybersecurity competition against the other teams in the world, Team Asia, Team Canada, Team Oceania, Team Europe. And
if Oceania qualifies, right? Am I right?
No, as much as we kind of push it's competitive, we do have a pretty tight-knit group there with the coaches and the players. We all kind of cross mingle, but we want to win. We want to represent our country, and they have a phenomenal team. They have phenomenal coaches. I have all the respect in the world for the teams that we compete against. They're first class, and we want to bring ourselves up to those levels and just be the best team that we can be for the country, and we need all the support we can to make that happen.
I love it. So for people who are not going to be able to be taken to Italy or Chile, I mean, is it streamed? Is it shoutcasted? Like what's the opportunity for everybody in chat right now who's watching to, get in on the excitement?
Yeah, so both European competition and ICC traditionally have had streams. It's been hit or miss with European competition, but from the way it's looking, we'll have streams. So if you kind of go out to the US Cyber Game site, we'll make sure that all of our supporters, will get the streams out to you guys if you want to watch them. Kind of keep track of it, keep track of what's going on. But just most importantly, just spread the word. Get the word out there. We want to bring more and more talent into this pool. We want to start getting kids engaged in this. This is not just a one and done type thing. We wanted this to be a program that starts when kids are kids, and really just over a period of 10 to 20 years, growing this into something extremely big.
Well, and it has grown, because I've been involved, for a few years now. I remember the original OG draft. One question that kind of came up from Space Tacos that I thought was awesome is is the competition rotate around kind of the way the Olympics does? Like, could the United States host the international event one year, or what's kind of the politics behind that?
We did. We hosted in San Diego this past year, the
Oh, okay.
International Cybersecurity Competition. So that was held in San Diego. Obviously, South America. We have steering committees that put together proposals, just like the Olympics. So member countries put together proposals to the steering committee. The steering committee made a decision that San Diego would be a good destination to go to this year. And I'm kind of glad we made that, because it's going to be a fun trip. Plus our time offset's going to be beneficial to us. So, not having to adjust our sleep schedules dramatically, we'll start to work towards that preparation, where we are covering every fine element. But, I don't know what the future years will be. It's not planned out like the Olympics, but we'll have some fun destinations down the line. I think season 1, where'd you guys go? To Greece, and then in season 2, we were San Diego.
Yeah, and I mean the Olympics have 125 years on you, so I mean, you guys will get there. I think it's very cool, for sure. So, Josiah, I want to throw it to you for a hot minute here. You mentioned you're the team lead of the red blue kind of active back and forth. So that's kind of like a coach, almost like an enlisted, if you will, since you are a military person, right? You're like a sergeant of the enlisted people. What are you doing as the team lead? I mean, are you talking to the coaches this guy's not pulling his weight, or are you talking down to, not talking down, but leading down, meaning hey, I see you're struggling here. Let's hook this up. What does that role really entail, and what does it mean to you to have that role?
Sure. So right now it's all basically preparation. So there's 3 team captains. They're selected from within the team of 30. They're selected by the team. So we all voted on who we thought would be good as captains. And then the coaches made the final decision on that. So there's a head captain, and then there's a CTF captain and attack defense captain. Our primary role is basically just kind of managing all of the training and setting up the environment for everyone to be successful. I am by no means the most technically skilled in any single category that we have. We have people in every category that are better than I am, by a long shot. So the place where I come in is being able to kind of bridge across all of those. And during the attack defense day, there's 8 hours of competition. There's a lot of kind of management and things of making sure, one, going into that we have all the tools we need. So we've prepped for it. We have all the training that we need for it, and people know what they're going to do. And then during it, that there's good communication and things flowing back and forth. So people aren't doubling up on things, or we're not leaving certain things completely untouched. That there's someone kind of managing all of that. So those are all kind of pieces of what it looks like to be a team captain.
Oh, I love it. And one thing that Josh had mentioned, and people may have missed this, but there's 30 team members on the team, and they take 15 to Santiago. So what does that selection process look like, Josiah? And like as a team captain, I'm sure you're somewhat involved in that process. Do you know how that works?
Yeah, so this is my first year as a captain. I wasn't last year, but the captains and the coaches together make that decision. It's based on a number of different factors. So obviously, out of a group of 30 people, not all of them can travel internationally for a week. In particular, this year we have 2 back-to-back weeks of international travel. So that already cuts down the pool to a certain extent. And then from there, we weigh in how active people were during the year. So sometimes just throughout the course of a season, life changes and stuff. And so they get too busy. And then a certain amount of it is also just skill. We want to win. And so if we have 5 people that are all really, really good at reverse engineering, we're probably not going to take all 5 of them because we're going to leave a different category behind. So balancing that out is also a priority.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I can see that. I'm glad to hear it's not like an 80s movie montage where you're just like, like the best, and like you're just like beating someone, and if they're not taking the lashings, you're like, yeah, you're left at the airport. I love it. So Shiloh, I wanted to ask you, as a red teamer, right? So for those who don't know, and again, I might be speaking slightly out of turn, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But I've attended CCDC competitions, and basically it's like everybody's a blue team, and then they have some table of like gnarly expert level red team pen testers who are basically just knocking things over on the blue team, and then on the final day they just like nuke everybody. At least in the events I went to. So Shiloh, as a red teamer, for these competitions, first I wanted to know, have you ever participated on the red side of any of those events? And then how does your experience as a red teamer play into that type of competition?
So I have not been a red teamer yet for like PCDC or CCDC, although I probably will within the next few years, just because I know basically everybody at PCDC at this point. And SEC-CDC. Actually, one of our captains is a red teamer for CCDC, but I mean, I was not a red teamer when I was doing CCDC in undergrad. I didn't really start getting into this until I graduated. But I mean, the experience definitely translates. Like it is super kind of interesting now to see like when I go out and I exploit systems and I think about, I'm like, oh, well, that's what I was trying to fix when I was doing CCDC. And at the time it seemed so complicated. And now I'm like, it would have been a trivial fix if I'd had like a little more experience. So it's kind of interesting to see how knowing a lot about the defensive side can make you better at the offensive side, and vice versa. Like now that I look from the offensive side and I see like how much a simple misconfiguration can turn into my ability to wreck an entire network. Like if I were to go back and be that blue team again, I'd be like, oh, I'd obviously need to turn this off. I obviously need to change these things. So I think the cool thing about competitions like that, or really any kind of competition where you are doing any particular skill, is that that skill can impact other things. Like just because you're really good at reverse engineering doesn't mean that's the only thing you're getting better at. You're improving your lateral thinking, you're improving your knowledge of internals. So that's definitely one thing I really like about really every aspect of cyber competitions, but especially for blue team competitions in relation to my position now.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're championing the value of purple teaming, which, relatively new concept in the industry, but certainly one of great value. So, Dr. Brunty, Josh, one of the questions that came up is, as far as like scenarios that you guys might showcase in some of the competitions, do you guys give them kind of like scenarios like, oh, this is a transportation, this is a healthcare, this is electrical grid, like for any of the competitions, whether on the CTF side or the red blue side?
We build in our competitive CTF, we build around some themes, we build some challenges out for them. So they'll see a whole hodgepodge. In our attack and defense, we try to replicate machines that we've seen in past competitions. So we tried to, and the unique part about that, and Josiah could speak more to this, is that when we get into international competitions, that attack and defense is very purple in nature, because unlike CCDC, where it's all defensive, or CPTC, collegiate pen testing competition, we're honestly doing both attack and defense simultaneously. So that is very unique to the U.S. that we're playing catch up on. We're doing a very good job of figuring out that landscape. But generally, we try to stick around common themes. So they may be, something corny, and corny and lame, like a Magic Quest or something like that, or they may be something, modeled after, a grid attack or something like that. So that makes it fun, when you can kind of put the challenges together. So you're kind of, even though the challenges are inherently different across CTF and attack and defense, as you're solving those challenges, they do kind of carry a common theme. So we try to do that, but not always. I mean, there might be a backstory to it, but it's
I think that's more just to be like entertaining than it is necessarily like using this Modbus protocol like to do whatever. So thank you for helping me co-host, Josh. So Josiah, as a follow-up, can you elaborate a bit more on what my co-host Dr. Josh Brunty was alluding to?
Yeah, definitely. So when we talk about attack defense services, they're what I would kind of call toy services. So most of them are not going to take, say, some software that you can download on the internet and install it, and then that's the thing you're hacking. So we're not necessarily attacking any sort of real ICS infrastructure or anything like that, but they are representative of a lot of the vulnerabilities that you would find in real systems. And to be honest, it's a lot harder. If we took any major ICS system and put it in attack defense competition, I think it would probably take at most an hour or two for it to be torn apart. With the way that a lot of the systems are built and just the number of vulnerabilities that there are. In the attack defense services that we have, there's normally only one or two, or maybe three really specific vulnerabilities. And so you have to dig through all of the source code and look at this code base that you've never seen before and really doesn't look like anything that you've seen before. The last scrimmage that we had a custom Rust. I think it was a Rust interpreted, or it was a service that was built in Rust that was a custom interpreted language. And it was actually a binary exploitation, or no, it was binary exploitation, and you had to overwrite a config file on the system in order to modify the way that it was executed. So it was this long exploit chain just to be able to exploit this one service. So yeah, they don't necessarily map one-to-one with real-world systems, but the vulnerabilities a lot of times are even harder.
So for that one, I mean, are you opening, like you said, Rust interpreted? So like, I mean, you're looking at source code directly then? It's not like it was disassembled or something?
Right. So there have been times when we're given just a compiled binary and that's our attack defense service. That's fairly rare because of the nature of attack defense. Everyone has the same system. So everyone's servers has this source code on it. So you're able to do white box testing on your own. You can see all your source code. You can test it yourself. And then once you get your exploit built, you can throw it against everyone else.
Okay, that makes sense. Dr. Brunty, we got a question from chat here. Let me go ahead and pull it up. It's, let me see. Question to we got a couple of questions, which I love. After the event is taken down, have you deduced what's the end result of data gathering from the competition results? Where would we move on from there? Perhaps will AI assist better? I didn't pre-screen this question before I pulled it up, so I'm not exactly 100% sure what Endoro is asking. But what are your thoughts, Josh?
The answer is yes, we do that. And the reason I don't want to get too in detail, because that's part of our internal strategy of what we do, what we've collected, and what we go back and do in the next season of practice. So yes, we do that, and we do that quite in detail. We also do that with some of our practice runs as well. So we grab PCAPs and stuff like that. Obviously, you do that in any competition, but we do carry some historical access to the scoreboards. So we look at trends in that, look at time to solves and things like that. So we do get pretty analytical in it, and we're constantly trying to cut corners to increase that time to solve. So that's extremely important in both attack and defense and capture the flag, because if we can clear a category through cutting some corners, through some automation, through some strategies in that, then that puts our eyes on more categories and challenge solves. So we're looking at that as a team. We're looking at those ways that we can increase our speed to solve, if you want to call it that much. And we're looking at all ankles. We're looking at AI. We're looking at automation, and we're looking at looking at historical data as well. So it gets pretty granular, but it's super fun.
I love it. I mean, and that's, I feel like that what you're talking about is why you've got Josiah in the kitchen cooking with Golang, because you got to be faster to solve these things, right? Basically, that's what I'm hearing.
Oh, for sure. And we have so much talent on the team that knows so many scripting languages. We have people that are looking into a lot of data analytics as well. So I think our talent pool is the best that it's ever been. Actually, I know it's the best that it's ever been. So we're supremely confident that we have the talent to win. We're just right now, we're just having fun. That's the whole purpose of this, to represent our country, but to have fun doing it. And so far, so good. We've been able to do that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And, AI, everyone's using AI for everything. Although I personally, I see it more on the blue side than the red side, even though everybody's got like a hot take on how it can be used on the red side. So we're just at close to 5:30. So we got a couple minutes here. I want to run around the horn and get some final thoughts. And personally, Josiah, Shiloh, Josh, like you guys are here. We're talking US Cyber Team, but obviously you're practitioners, you're professionals, you're academics. So, if I would love, I'll go around the horn. I'll start with Josiah. Just ask, like, what are you looking forward to? Like, what do you got coming up? And if you wanted to connect with people on socials or wherever, where people could find you so they can, be, fanboy it out on US Cyber Team members. So Josiah, what's cracking? What do you got coming up, and where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so honestly, my biggest thing coming up is ECSC and ICC, the international competitions that we're going to be doing on the US team in October. So those are really the big things that I'm excited for and putting a lot of work into leading up to. So in terms of social, I'm not really active anywhere, to be honest. You can hit me up on Discord, I suppose, if you particularly want to. Basically, I'm Bootkid everywhere.
With a one? Is it a one in the I?
It's a B00TK1D.
Oh man,
all caps, and that's basically every platform. But don't really have a real big footprint anywhere right now.
All right. Well, and I just want to let you know that I did see some people. First of all, I fixed your name since I was such an old man and just typed it incorrectly. Also, earlier, this was kind of a funny. I asked you if you've ever had any like buzzer beater snafu things, and you're like, no, not really. And someone in chat was like, yeah, no, Josiah's like, nah, I got this. Like, I just crushed things.
No.
Like,
no, I've definitely had my share of missed challenges, but.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. So Shiloh, AKA Arctic Cow. I haven't been calling people their handles on the stream here, but I'll just shout it out right here at the end. What you got coming up? I know, obviously, you said all sorts of stuff like DOD and Red and stuff like that. So there's probably things you can't talk about, but that you can talk about. What you got coming up?
Yeah, and it's perfect because there's something I wanted to give a shout out for. So US Cyber Games is launching a new initiative this year. It's the US Women's Cyber Team.
Ooh,
so
nice.
That's going to be brand new for Season 4. And the goal is to go to another international competition. It's going to be in Tokyo in November. It is going to be pure AD, so pure, well, look at that, pure red versus blue attack defense. And this also goes along with some people were asking about the age cap. The age cap for the women's team is 28 instead of 25. So you've got a couple more years of eligibility there. And the goal is to, reach out to a historically underrepresented demographic. So I'll personally if you scroll up just a little bit, you'll see like the timeline.
Where is it?
You scroll past it now. Keep
Oh, I'm
going.
sorry.
There we go. So there's the timeline. But I'll definitely be applying for it. So highly recommend, if we have any ladies out there watching, that you take a shot at it. Yeah, I mean I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but there aren't a huge amount of women on the US Cyber team, so I'm somewhat confident in my ability to be on this team. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm excited to learn more about AD and Red versus Blue as we get ready for that competition too.
No, that's fantastic. And I'll drop a link in chat for everyone to the US women's cyber team information. Go ahead and just drop that in chat. So thank you, Shiloh, for sharing that with us. Dr. Brunty, kind of leading us home, buddy, running the anchor. What you got coming up, and how can people connect?
It's getting ready for this upcoming competition season. That's the most important thing. We've never won international competition, and I think we're motivated. We're preparing. We're getting ready to go. That is the extreme goal for us, and we want to represent our country well. Just represent the U.S. Make everyone who's rooting for us, sharing us on socials, following us, just proud to say, oh, that's the USA team, and they're going to Chile and they're going to Italy and killing it. And we want to be that first to break through, and I think that's a common goal of ours. We're dedicated to that, and we're going to go do our best. But make no mistake, when we come back, I think we'll have a team that will represent and all people back in the U.S. will be proud of.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So we've been talking with U.S. Cyber Team's coach, Dr. Josh Brunty, team captain, Josiah, a.k.a. Boot Kid, and red teamer and just epic professional, Shiloh, a.k.a. Arctic Cow, talking about this season 4 of season 3, season 4 upcoming U.S. Cyber Team international competition. Absolutely phenomenal. You see the link right here. Go check it out. Obviously, Shiloh dropped the U.S. Women's Cyber Team competition and tryouts coming. So definitely check that out. Chat, you guys have been amazing. Great questions, great engagement, good energy. Absolutely love it. You guys absolutely knocked it out of the park. Thank you so very much. On behalf of Simply Cyber and the whole community, I'd like to thank our guests, Josh, Josiah, and Shiloh, for taking time out of your day to come talk about the U.S. Cyber Games with us. And I wholeheartedly, as an American, I hope you guys straight up bring home the gold. And again, I know it's all in good spirits, but if you can crush Oceania, that would be fine as well. So, we got to represent on the world stage, guys. So thank you all so very much, guys. I appreciate it. Until next time, stay secure. Content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that